All right, so we're back in the image, and after taking another close look, I found a few more things to improve hair-wise. So I'm gonna take out those two just to make sure that I know what I'm retouching, and I will take these out here. So I'm gonna go for the spot healing brush again and see if it helps me do the job. And here it is important to see that only you know the image, and you want to take everything away from the image that doesn't add to it. So your possible viewer hasn't seen this kind of hair. I'm going to switch to the clone stamp tool and just with low opacity paint over it. See that I don't change the color too much. And then we are going to paint a few more hair. And as I said, you will always find something to improve, so it's good to know for yourself when you want to stop. You need to know when enough is enough. Like these guys here that go across the flow of the hair. Maybe this one, this. And still, yesterday I said that I want to take these hair here back, but maybe not all of them. So sometimes it's good to reconsider. And I think I'm going to paint a few more hair here. And maybe this long one here. Possibly this. And again, it's about hiding a few things, not necessarily taking them all out. Like these dry ends here, you can just hide them. Make them less prominent. A few more of those. Oh, and in case you would like to see a video like this also in German language, just let me know. Put it in the comments or send me an email. As I'm building this channel, I'm not 100% sure which language to go with. I think English reaches the most people, but if there's enough demand for German, I definitely am going to consider it and make German content as well. And maybe I didn't say it yet, but I'm definitely planning on doing live sessions here on YouTube together with my friend Stefan Kohler from Traunstein, the founder of Raw Exchange and the Infinite Tools. We are thinking about bringing some valuable content to you to learn from, to be entertained, educated, and enjoy just the retouching process together with us, with me and Stefan and whoever is up for joining us. The main goal is to provide industry insights, learnings, and help you along the way if you're interested in the professional retouching workflow. All right, I think now we have taken out the hair that I wanted to. And we are going to check whether this is fine and where we need to draw a few more. Again, I'm creating a new layer, this time for the outer hair, and I'm going to sample the color, maybe increase the size of the brush to 2 so that we can actually see a little more. And then we are going to, let me rotate this a little. Then we are going to paint some hair here. Just go with the flow of the original hair. And don't worry about the sharpness yet. We're going to deal with this in the next step. So what are we going to do? Now we are going to Command J, double the layer, use the Gaussian blur to match the amount of sharpness to the hairline, to the original hairline. This should be fine. Command click the layer and make a mask with itself. So the mask looks like this. This is what is visible, and we are going to decrease the density to something like 30, and we are going to apply the layer mask. And what we can do now is to add some noise to it, like 2% maybe, just to rough it up a bit. Yeah, that does the job. So what do we got here? That one. Did I double that? Oh. I think I didn't mean to do that. Was a bit too much. I think I accidentally doubled the layer. So one time is enough. Now we can group this to retouch. And now we can start with the dodging and burning process of the skin. Oh, I wanted to, sorry guys, I wanted to draw some more hair here. Below. You know, just make it a little more neat and nice. Yep. And it's always the same approach. The hair looks more believable when you adjust the sharpness to the surrounding hair, make a mask with itself, and adjust the density to your liking so that it goes naturally with the image. All right, so now we are going to create some dodge and burn layers. For this, for myself, I made some actions that set up these layers. You can see it's a basic curve that lightens and darkens the image. And I'm going to use a brush that is set to 10% opacity and 100% flow. And I'm going to start retouching with the dodge and burn layers. To make it a little more visible, I created some help layers for myself. You can see there's a bunch of layers in it. We don't need them all now, but I found out that by having these 3 layers, like the solar curve, which looks like that. If you didn't see it before, then maybe just Google it. There's a ton of information on the solar curve. A luminosity layer, which is basically just a black solid color layer on color mode, and a brightness contrast layer below, which enables me to go through the whole image and make those areas that I want to work on way more visible, and so that I can find the areas. If you see like these patches here of dark pixels, these are things that I want to work on, all those lighter ones. And of course everybody does it differently, but this is the way I flip through the image and work on those parts that I want to get rid of. So I'm just going through, and you can watch me, or you can fast forward, whatever is better for you. If you enjoy dodging and burning as much as I do, then you're welcome to join every single brush stroke. Otherwise, you can just fast forward and see the final result. And we are going to build it up ever so slightly. And I'm switching between the layers. One thing that I need to point out using this kind of technique for visualizing the flaws of the skin, this is intensifying the original image by a big factor. So you need to know exactly, or you need to find out for yourself if you're going to do it like this. You need to find out for yourself when enough is enough. So I encourage you to zoom out every once in a while, not to get lost in too much detail, and to make sure that you find a nice balance and transition between all the tones in the image. And of course, turn the help layers off every once in a while, just to make sure you're not going too far. The good thing is we are working on a mask, and on a separate layer we can always take the opacity down, and by this workflow we have maximum control over the pixels. I'm playing the same playlist as yesterday, if you wonder. So right now it's Social Distortion, Story of My Life. Kind of fitting, since retouching is kind of story of my life, in a way, at least the professional life. And I'm curious, what are you listening to when you retouch? Are you listening to something? So I'm always up for suggestions. Please let me know in the comments, or send me a text or a message on Instagram. That's at Jan Wischermann. You're more than welcome to send me a few suggestions, because it's always good to not run out of interesting content to listen to while you're meditating pixel-wise. And then it is important to also change the brightness and contrast layer and go to the other tone ranges. And just make sure you're not going too far. So it depends, right? It depends on the task. What weapon you choose. Oh, sorry, weapon. What tool you use to work on your image, and what suits your personal style the best. There is no one way to happiness. You definitely have to let the image speak to you and let it tell you what is best for it. Just want to make sure the transition is smooth, not too much. So if I take this out, we can see, oops, if I control these two layers, you can see what it did, right? Here in this area. I think that's a pretty decent result. So I'm going to put them on again and continue. Just to make this slightly more smooth. Oh, and by the way, Stefan Kohler of Raw Exchange, he told me that there's this release of this new Infinite Retouch panel soon that they're working on, and I had the chance and the privilege to take a look behind the scenes, and they were working on one thing that I found very interesting, new way of dodging and burning with curves, with a different curve set, which is amazing in its results. So we're definitely making some video about it once it's released, and you can get your hands on it. And I'm going to show you how this will improve the result of your dodge and burn process. Let's lower the opacity of, oops, not the flow, but of the brush. Damn. So I want to push this to 100 and like so. Okay. Finally. 10 opacity was a bit too much in this area, so make sure to adjust your tools. Of course, you can also use the brush with, say, 100% opacity and a low flow. It depends. I use them both. It depends on how I feel on that very day. But I can say that I mostly never work on a gray layer, set to soft light to retouch, since it doesn't give me as much control as 2-layer setup for dodging and burning. This is a case where I would like to switch the help layers off, just to see how far I need to go. So we even out this part pretty nicely, but I think we went too far on the lip, so I'm gonna take that out. It's always good to double check visually and don't be zoomed in too far. All right, so we are going to move this one to make this area more visible. You can also increase the contrast, which is a very powerful eye help tool. So let's continue on this side. And if there's something that you don't understand, just let me know. And we can discuss this in one of the live streams. You can always talk about a certain technique or a particular question you might have, or just chat about music. Consider these areas just to make smooth transitions between the tonal ranges. And once you get close to the edge here, it does make sense to alter the brightness and contrast layer. But first, we are going through the already visual parts. In case you don't like this layer setup for retouching, feel free to use your own. It's not a must. It's just something that I find very helpful, which saved me a ton of time in my professional workflow, especially when I have to work on like 20 of those images. And so when you're used to it, it's an amazing accelerator time-wise and gives me a lot of control. Oops. Right, okay, so let's go to the other areas, like around the mouth. Is there some more we want to do? Yeah. Oh, and if you're wondering how I am switching between the layers, I'm just pushing shortcut Command X, which I installed by a script that I found from a really intelligent guy on the net. I will link it in the video description. It's called ToggleDBLayers, and this is something that I was searching for a long time, and then send out a lot of energy into the universe, and this guy answered, and he created this Photoshop script that you can just put in your script folder, which enables you to toggle between layers by pushing a shortcut that is definable by you, and it's not the same thing as the layers, like the previous layer and the layer that you are working on right now. I think this is also available somewhere, but it's not the same. So you can name in the script the layers that you want to switch between, and gives me the flexibility that I want in my retouch, because I don't want to go here and click all the time when I retouch. This is one of the biggest time savers ever, and this guy belongs to the Photoshop Hall of Fame. I don't have his name right now here, but I'm gonna put it in the video description. Let me know if this is also something that you find interesting. I love everything like script panel action-wise that can improve a workflow, and I'm always curious for new things. So if you got something cool, let me know, and I'll definitely give you my thoughts on that. There's some more here. Let's go to 5%. Like so. Oh. Let's move to the forehead. And also change the brightness and contrast layer to make those areas stand out a little more. You can see that it's slowly but surely getting there. And of course, there's ways to fasten this process, and you don't need to be that detailed, but in this case, I just want to show you how it can be done and how I usually do it. And when I'm not talking about it and not explaining, I'm usually way faster, but in this case, I hope the speed of information flow is right for you. There's one more spot. Okay, some more here. All right, let's move it again. And there's some more hiding in the dark. And if it's too much, we can always dial it back. We just need to make sure that we check it. And we're going to do this very quickly. Very soon, I meant. After I did those. All right, let's put it away. Yeah, okay. So there's a few, if you wonder what it looks like, mask looks like this right now. That's okay. We can go in here and work on this part. I guess that's still something that we can tackle here and work with the clone stem tool. Just take out a few of those, or dump back a few of those shiny white spots. As long as you can create a believable result which doesn't show obvious flaws or retouching traces, take the technique that works best for you and for your client. All right, I think now we can go back to dodging burning. take out a few of these. That's a shadow that we want to keep. And again, small brushes, big results. Just be patient and don't go for the quick win. Patience and empathy for the for the pixels. It's always good to respect what is there. Don't only change things because you can. I did that when I started out, and it came back many times. It fired back. So you got to learn from that. Don't go too far. Find out how your client ticks, how your partners, your photographers think, how they feel, and what they want to have their audience feel when they watch their images. What is the emotion that you want to evoke? Emotions are everything. You can darken the eyebrows slightly, yes. And now we can work on the eye bags and make this a little more even. Don't take the roundness out, but make it more even. Yep. And now let's take a look at the lips. We can darken this outer part of it, make it more appealing. This is not a beauty shot, so we don't have to go too crazy on the lips and the skin. It has to look nice and fresh and radiant. But we're not on a macro beauty here, so we don't need to go overboard. All right. Maybe the top still needs some love. Oh, not touching, but burning. Okay. So let's continue and move on to the chest area. If you've got something like that going on, you could try put the invert on. Then it helps you to visualize these areas too. And I can't emphasize it enough. Use the way of dodging and burning you like. Don't do what others tell you or what they say is the best. You need to find out what is the best for you. And I've been on that road for myself for a long time until I figured out what works the best for me. And it's always good to have a large repertoire of tools at hand that can help you reach your goals, the most important thing is that you improve your vision and that you see what the image needs from you. Just because you know some techniques doesn't necessarily mean that you have to use all of them in one image. See, it's just evening out these parts. I would love to play all those songs to you while I retouch. And this is why I have this wired AirPod in my ear. I need some music while retouching, and right now it's no use for name. In the live streams I can show you at least what I'm listening to, and we could start the playlist together. How about that? So you have the things in your ear that I do, and we can talk about those songs. So if you are on Spotify, make sure to find the Jan Wischermann retouching playlists. You will find them if you search for my name. And again, I'm happy to receive a few of your lists and songs that inspire you and that get you going. Do you have the same, that when you retouch images and you listen to audiobooks or podcasts while you do, that if you later take a look at the image, you know exactly what thing you heard while you were retouching the hair, for example, or an ear or whatever? And I think retouching is good for memorizing. All right, let's tweak that curve. Maybe in this case, we're gonna take these away and put some contrast. To find some other areas that we can improve. But I guess it's not that dramatically much here. And tiny imperfections always make the image more believable. Yes. All right. So I think it's about time to go one step further. What we need to do now is to work on the finish. Since we created a look already in Capture One, there's a few finishing touches that I would like to apply. First, I would like to work on the eyes, and therefore I'm going to create a selection with my pen tool. And I'm gonna soften the edges. First thing is some contrast. We're gonna fine tune it a little later. Other one is Hue Saturation. I'll take out the color cast here. And I'm gonna take the mask away. Blacken the mask, I mean. And now I'm gonna paint in the correction where I want it, like so. Okay, this is slightly too much on the right eye. So we're going to take this away by 50%. And next thing that I would like to do is brush in are we in quick view now? Are we? Why? Ah, there it is. I'm going to paint in this selection. And now I'm gonna invert that mask. And this is way too much. And we can just bring in a few percent to lighten up the iris and make it pop a little more. And I think the hue saturation is a bit too strong. So we're going to dial that back to 60, something like that. Yeah, that works. And we did the hair contrast already, but maybe we want to put in a little more Dodge and Burn love to the hair. Check the curve. This is a big one. Maybe make it a little less dramatic. And we are going to paint in some more light and dark areas to give it a little more dimension, like the highlights, pop them a little more. Hair clients love that. And of course there's a reason. Who doesn't want shiny, healthy hair, right? You can emphasize these and take back those to give it a little more dimension. Check this out. Yes, that works. And one thing that I like to do is make this mask a little more precise, and therefore I activate the layer mask, go to image adjustments, no, image, apply image, and apply it with multiply, like the basic setting. What it does, do you see that? It calculates the original hair structure in. So the result is a little more subtle and more precise. Same with the burn mask. Image, apply image, multiply. What can happen is that it vanishes ever so slightly. Then you can bring up a curve with Command M and bring it back like so. Maybe we do the same here. Yes. Okay, what else? I think it's about time to sharpen the image. And there is actually many ways to do that. So you can use the Smart Sharpen, which is one of the Photoshop basic tools. It's available for you. You can just create a stamp. I'm doing this with an action, but you could also push Command Option Shift E, does the same job. And then you can go to, oh wait, let's call it Smart Sharpen and actually create a smart object. And you can go to Sharpen, Smart Sharpen, zoom to 100%. And you can see already what it does. I think that can be like brought up a little more. This is close to, let's go back to 1 pixel. Close actually to what we also could have done in Capture One. Machine is slow right now. Why? Let's check the preview again. And if you apply it like so, it brings in a nice amount of crisp details and keeps the structure alive, and don't overemphasize this. And one of the last steps that I enjoy putting on is original film grain. Therefore, I created my own patterns that I can apply. And those are here. These are made from original film, like analog photography. And I created those from original files that have been given to me. So I just took out the texture and made a pattern out of it so that you can apply it seamlessly to all your images. And I made a video about that too, about the process, and you can find it on my YouTube channel. It's in German language, and if it's interesting for you, just let me know and I'll recreate that in English language too. So I can apply that, switch to soft light, and you can see that is, of course, slightly too much. So we can bring that down. But before I do, I would like to point out one big advantage that you have when you do it with a pattern. You can like double click it, and you can scale it so that the film grain gets bigger or smaller, and you can adjust it to your image so that it suits well. In this case, I leave it with 100, and put the opacity down to like 45% maybe, so that we have a decent amount of grain on the image. And if we go to see the before and after, I think we are at a good stage from where we could hand it over to the photographer or the magazine or whoever wants to go and publish the image. All right, so I think we finished this one, and I'm happy that you stayed with me for this image. And if you would like to get to know a little more, and if you would like to dive into more retouching projects, feel free to subscribe to this channel, leave a comment if you like, and if you would like to be notified when I release a new video or when I go live, then you can also activate the little bell and you won't miss a video, and I'm happy to see you in the next one. Bye.